See, I haven't done this in a long time. I'm turning my computer the wrong way.
Good to see you.
Feelings mutual. It's good to be back again. Happy back. I like that. I like that. It's. I've been longing to be here. You know, I'm bombarded by the fact that I'm still out of these exams. Some of it go over my head, so I might as well just lay low and then appear back in full bloom and full focus. But thanks a lot for your understanding. And while you're understanding, please pray so that we don't have to retake these exams again. You know, Brother, I've been through the sabbatical route twice before this one, where I had to decide to shut down the lanes, pull off a little bit over by the roadside, and gather your thoughts and stuff. I did it once from church before and once from work before, because a lot of stuff was going on, and realize, sometimes if you just get the time to just zone in and really think what you ought to think, you realize that you can get back into focus. You'd be amazed. If you really use the time wisely, the way it ought to, you can get a lot of stuff done, and that's what I've been able to do this past since April. But while I'm out there and I'm still doing that, I'm also still thinking about the work here. And I realize over the years there's a lot of stuff that, and sometimes you'll hear me allude to some of them while I'm talking. I said, I would love to address, but then you realize, okay, if you're going to address it, there's a way you address it so that it is not misconstrued by your audience. So over this time, before I was preparing this sermon, in fact, from the last time I spoke, I did mention something which I'm saying, I should probably talk about that at some point in time. And I really never think about it again until I was sitting down the other day and I was reading an article, actually a prose, and then the thought came back to me because something in that prose stood out, and I said, I need to talk about that. So let me get into it. And just to give a heads up, this might be a two-part presentation, because the reason I really do not like to butcher if it takes away from the so I intentionally decided, I'm going to cut this into two parts. Here's what I'm going to entitle this two-part series: True Test of Religion. True Test of Religion. And in this part one is focusing on myself. Now, if you focus, and I'm saying on myself here because, and how I want you to look at it when I'm going through this is to maybe try to personalize it, if you get what I mean. So I call this part True Test of Religion, a letter to myself. A letter to myself. Now you might ask me, how do I come up with a topic? Let me get into it. The desiderata, which is Latin for desired things. It is a 1927 prose, or a poem, by an American writer called Max Ehrmann, Ehrmann. Largely known in his lifetime, this particular text has been used in devotional settings. They're used at spoken words recordings and so forth. I like it. I always like the thing. I remember when I was back in Jamaica, I used to do, let me be careful how I say this, people might hold me to it, but art and craft. Not art and craft in a sense, but Another talent of mine is I'm an artist, but I decided not to explore it. But so calligraphy is something that I used to do a lot of. So there was this artist who came to live beside me, and I realized we share the same passion. So because if you didn't know this, I'm severely colorblind. So when I used to paint, I moved away from painting and then went to black and white. Right, and I moved away from black and white. Right, and then I decided, okay, you know what? Let me focus on calligraphy. So I do that. So he came in on the scene, and he was a big calligraphy artist. So what he will do, he will take any kind of words or picture and apply them to canvas, and then crochet everything. So when you look at the painting, this item here is all crocheted, and it's amazing. So I happened to work with him on the Desiderato once, and when I was going through it, I realized, you know what, I like this. This is cool. Let me share with you the Desiderato. It says, "Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and the ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain and bitter. For always there will be the greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing of fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your own business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself, especially do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond the wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conserve him to be. And whatever your labors and aspirations, in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace in your soul. With all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful. Strive to be happy. It's always spoken to me. Very, very calm, peaceful voice. Desiderato. So I ask, why did this Desiderato? While I was thinking through that, the thought came to myself. This is speaking to me. It is speaking to me. And I can identify. I talk about the busy life and stuff, and it says, go placidly. you know, chill out a little bit, and and that's when I realized, let me just think about some stuff. So I said, you know what? I'm going to write a letter to myself regarding some things. And by now you'll notice I'm always big on self-assessment. I'm always talking about things of the human character and person and me and myself and I, in that sense. So over the course of this this course, brethren, I want to zoom in on a particular section of James. And the context of it is going to more or less compose the verbiage of this letter. All right? James 1:26. James 1:26. I'm reading from KJV. It says, if any man among you seem to be religious, and bridleth not his tongue, but deceiveth his own heart, this man's religion is vain. Now, when I read that part of it, I said to myself, you know what? I remember when I was last spoken, but I spoke about living every day. Every day, today as today, right? And counting my years and stuff. And it takes me back here, and I'm realizing, if I'm supposed to live my life every day as if it was the last, just like the Desiderata say, be careful and strive to be happy. So that one moment right there should be happy. That moment, today should be happy, regardless of what my circumstances are. And then I came across James, and James come to me and say, hey, if you think you're religious, you're deceiving yourself. If you don't curb that tongue, and my religion is in vain. So I started to ask myself these questions, and then I put I now into all this, and this is why I call this a letter to myself. So as I go through here, I'm going to keep saying I. Okay? So do I think I'm religious? Do I consider myself a good Christian? The word religious here, brethren, in James is G2357. And religious that is the only instance in the New Testament that the word religious is used. Religion is used. Religious. Right? It refers to diligent observance of religious duties or ceremonies. Originally, the Greek word here kind of referred to acting out of fear, trying to appease the gods. So, if you look at it, if you're acting out of fear, trying to appease the gods, if you understand in the original Greek context, think about it. As followers right now, we could probably do the same thing. If you're not careful, we could probably do the same thing. We could probably just decide to do something just because we want to appease our Creator, and not necessarily genuinely. Right? So, I might faithfully observe all the outward religious duties that is expected. So, I might come to church on Sabbath. I might, do the things that you should say, oh, that's a nice church-going gentleman. And the outside see that. But the point of the text here, I think, is that activity alone does not mean that I am indeed holy or spiritual. That act alone. So it tells me then there's a difference between real religion and something that is false or superficial. Now, how do I know then if my religion is false? You have to put it to the test. You have to test something. You have to try it. So these two verses, 26 and 27, then innately give us some ways to put my faith to the test. And mark it, these are not requirements. These are not requirements to say, for you to be for me to be a believer. But I think they are important enough to test to see where I am at in my walk. I would call them KPIs then, key performance indicators. So if I have real faith on the inside, then it should show itself on the outside. If I have real faith on the inside, it should demonstrate, it should manifest itself outside. I just can't say, I got faith. It has to be demonstrated somehow. There's a part of scripture that talks about, show me your face and I show my works. So the real test then of my religion is not to look on how I act, right? But not how I act here, put it this way, but how I act outside there. Not how I act in these walls, but how I act outside of these walls. That's how you test. You should probably be able to test. Someone says integrity is what is defined as what you do or say when no one is looking. That's integrity. So that's in my perspective, maybe that's a good place to start. Where this guy go after he leaves these halls, or what he does? So in verse 26 then, James gives us two reasons that why I should put my religion to the test. First of all, if I do not honestly put my faith to the test, then I might find out too late that I'm deceiving myself. He says right here, be careful, you could be deceiving yourself. So if I'm doing this, you're basically saying, hey, hold on. Hold on. Come on. What are you doing? You could be misconstrued. So he mentioned the fact that too many of us then deceive ourselves thinking that we're good, and then in fact we're not. The second reason that I should put myself to the test is because if I do not do it, then the last part of that statement said it could be rendered vain. It could be useless. So I've been acting all my life. I've been doing all these things all my life, only to realize all of what I'm doing is just in vain. It has no substance. It holds no water. So I'm hollow as a piece of bamboo. Form and no substance. Right? You bump me and I just fall down, as opposed to standing strong and sturdy. And I'm saying this here, I keep personalizing it because I am not impervious to this situation. This happens every day. But I have to be true to myself. If I'm going to talk on a situation, I have to talk about me. I can't talk about anybody else. Right? And I should be bold enough to talk about that. I know what? Feel good about it too. Because expressing that thought or that concern tells me I am benchmarking. I'm not being complacent. So that's why I'm using this approach. So the first, I'm going to share with you then three tests of true religion that he gives here. He says the first one is bridling the tongue. So I ask myself, do I control my tongue? Verse 26, if any man among you seem to be religious and bridle not his tongue. Number one. Here he's comparing, I think bridle is a horse that uses a bridle. It's a horse that uses a bridle. The soft goat thing. And it's used to steer the horse. So if you have to turn the horse in a particular way pull on the rein, the bridle squeezes, he reacts that way. That's what he said I should do to this with my tongue. Sure. In other words, be careful of what I say, so that I'm understood correctly. I don't misrepresent myself, and you don't misrepresent others. Right? The power of, there's a lot of power in words. Sometimes not what you say is, either way you can look at it. Sometimes it's how you say what you say, and then another time is sometimes what you say. Emotional scars go deeper than physical scars. And I don't think many, sometimes in the heat of things or the normal movements of life, might overlook some of these things. And sometimes for the sake of a conversation, you might just say some stuff and realize, hey, did I just say that? Or somebody say, hold on, did you realize what you just said? So to bridle the tongue, you got to curve it, restrain it, and keep it under control. And if you notice here, it's a present tense, so it means it's got to be an ongoing activity. And we should be always, so every time I'm talking to you right now, and if you notice, I'm pausing. One, for another secret again, I stutter a lot. So sometimes I pause to catch my thoughts to say it. But then there's another time when I pause to think about what I'm saying before I say it. Because the moment it comes out of my mouth, you're going to go and say, Brother Cornell said. I become somebody to quote. So if you're going to quote me correctly. Right? So I must restrain my tongue. I must refrain from profanity. I must not gossip. I must not slander. I must not lie. I mustn't say hurtful things. Ephesians 4:29. Ephesians 4 and verse 29. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the ears. It's talking about how I say, and in a management course, they will tell you, communication is only about 5% words. It's just 5% words. The rest of it is intonation. The tone of your voice. Did you lift your voice when you say that? Was it a command? Was it a question? Was it a command? How did it sound to you when it come across? So this is why, if you notice, I communicate different ways. You may send me an email, I may never respond to it based on what the content is. Because I'm not going to leave an audit trail. Especially in the technological age where you do not control those servers. Every piece of email in your email is a property of Google, Yahoo, Hotmail. Okay. If you send me a text message and it's, I will look at the content and say, no, is it worthy texting back? Or should I just get on the phone and call? Cutting the audit trail again. Right? But based on the content of certain things. You might send it back and forth an email, and you can't have a conversation back and forth in an email because sometimes the way something is written may not be how the person intended. So I look at all these things from time to time and I say, you know what? No. That's why a live and living face-to-face conversation is priceless. I'm talking to you right now. When you play back this tape and don't see my face, you might be guessing what my expressions were. But right now, you can see whether, whether he's sad, whether he's angry, or, just, exuberant. So this is what I should be doing then. I ought to pray like David, Psalms 141. If Paul said that about the communication and what should come out of my mouth in Ephesians 4:29, here's what my prayer should be daily about my tongue. Psalms 141, look at verse 3. Set a watch, O Lord, before my mouth. Keep the door of my lips. I can't do this by myself. In other words, if I leave myself up to me, I'm self-destructive. I say some stuff, I do some stuff. Well, say some stuff right now. I say some stuff which I think is not good, and I really mean good, maybe sincerely too. But the way it come across, and you wonder, what did I do? What did I say? Because you never vet it. You didn't vet it. And the vetting, the first part of vetting is, should I say it? In fact, THINK, think. Try to remember that thing. It says, is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? Is it kind? We thinking sometime before we say some stuff. So I should watch the freedom of my tongue. I might say then, guess what? I'm just a person who just love to speak my mind. Maybe that's a fact. Yeah, I can verify that. I can go back and say, yeah, he loves to speak his mind. I can check it. I can go back in history and verify it. You can check it. But it's not an excuse to really say it, even though, you're a sharpshooter. James is telling me that I should restrain my tongue. Because if I don't do it, then whatever I say can be sinful. And that's the other side of this thing, is the impact, the effect that they have. You might say, well, if it was not true, I probably wouldn't say it. Really? No. License to do something isn't the reason to do it. I can drive. I'm a licensed driver. But I don't have to drive. Right? A smart man say, I think his name is Anonymous. Smart guy named Anonymous says, a smart person always know what to say, but a wise person decides whether to say it or not. Go back to Ephesians 4, verse 15. Ephesians 4 and verse 15. But speaking the truth in love may grow up into him all things, which is the head, even Christ. If you look back at verse 19 at James, and go back there a little bit. James, go back to James again, verse 9. Just keep your place in James, because they're going to go back there a little bit. Look at verse 19 at James, coming out of Ephesians 4, verse 15. Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. Hold on, press on the gas. I mean, the brake. The brake of the tongue. I should restrain my tongue. Now, would I pass the first test then? That's the question I should ask. Would I pass that first test in bridling my tongue? And if I'm bridling it, am I bridling it every now and then, or am I doing it consistently? Either way. Well, not either way. If I'm not, James seemed to be telling me, your religion is in check. Your religion is in check. He's saying it is useless. It's pointless. You're doing all of this for no reason. Profit nothing. Serve no purpose. So the other test then is this. Am I loving toward the needy? Is my expression of love toward the needy? Verse 27 of James says, pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this, to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world. And this is where I said, I might need to do part two of this, because this is what I alluded to when I spoke in the last sermon. That I don't think it's something we do a good job at, this part right here. Because James is using that to assess my religion. He's using it to assess my religion. There are some persons in here who are supposed to receive some love, the recipients. And and the funny thing is there is capacity, there is resources. And there's high demand. And the demand can be filled. The demand can be filled. But sometimes, and you will see when I go through the next part of it, we misunderstood the demand. We misunderstood the need and give somebody else something that they didn't ask for. when I go to a client to assess their situation, we lurk, L-E-A-R-C. It's a way of how you listen to when they talk. Right? You shut up, bridle your tongue, and let the guy talk. Understand his process, why he does what he does. Look for those points where there could be flaws. Confirm some stuff, acknowledge some stuff, follow up on some things, and they get into a picture. Did I hear you right? Did you say this? Right? Or did I misunderstood you? Things like that. And then at the end of the day, when you leave from that conversation, you want to ensure that I got the right picture. All right, so that you're not misunderstanding what was said, and then you have to be on the phone later. Oh, I need to say that. Sometimes we attend to some need which wasn't asked to be met, and we give something else. But I'm going to go into that another time. So James focused then my attention upon the most needy. The word fatherless, spreading that is used here often, G37 is from the word orphanos, which refers to a child who has lost one of both parents. So both the fatherless and the widows are mentioned all over through Scripture, and it seems to me that the Almighty focused on them a lot, because both of them lost somebody. And because they lost somebody, they are in need. Tender, loving care, support, structure. Look at Chicago right now. Yeah, we are something soft. Well, not only Chicago, worldwide. But anywhere I live, that's my home. So I've been in Chicago for a while. And every time we hear a lot of stuff happens, oh, where were the parents? Where were the parents? You know, where's the daddy? Where's the mother? All right? Some of them are fatherless. You know, some husband died, leave just the wife alone, or the grandparent, whichever, either side. And they need special care and attention to. And they who need it end up giving the special attention to those who are so deficient. And there's an imbalance. So, I mean, people do. Tomorrow is Father's Day. People do as best as they can under the circumstances. But I'm just trying to show you there's an underlying ongoing concern for the Almighty respect to orphans and widows. 68 of Psalms. Psalm 68, verse 5. The Almighty used these objects as special care and comparison. Psalm 68 and verse 5. He says, a father of the fatherless and a judge of the widows. Judge here now doesn't mean, assess right or wrong. It means here, it's basically saying attending to. Right? Is God in his holy habitation? God here is the support structure behind these guys. It takes me back to James, brethren. Real religion here would give me a heart to care for these people, to see to the needs of these people. So the question, where do I start? Do I start outside or do I start on the inside? Do I start with my own family? And maybe that's the best way to work. There are a lot, maybe not your immediate, when I say immediate family, I'm talking about your son, daughter, whatever. But the connected family, the close family. So the immediate and the close family. Some of these people may lose a loved ones. Some of your sister's kids may have lost a daddy. Or, whether it be through divorce or whatever. There's an element of stability that is no longer there. And sometimes these people need some kind of a support structure. Right? But you know what happens, and you're going to see in the other side of things, is that sometimes we leave right here, this inner circle, and we go and launch all the way outside and care for the one way out here. The outlier. The outlier. And everything under here is breaking down. So guess what? Society see you caring for that one over there. And you see those ads on TV about feed the poor and all kind of stuff. And I'm not saying these things are wrong. Honestly, don't get me. These things are good stuff. But sometimes I look at it a lot of times. I mean, I understand and look beyond from on the audit side of stuff. Okay, figures don't lie. Liars figure. A lot of this stuff is just a face. And a lot of stuff goes on to people the public doesn't know. Right? Somebody say, oh, those nice people reaching all the way into Africa doing this. And the last time I checked, there's some guys under the bridge in Chicago. Right? Trying to battle the inclement weather. But somebody end up in Africa, risking all kind of, and that's another thing, we're going to talk about that. But I'm going to say risking different diseases, different, you know what I mean? Because they want to demonstrate, oh, I'm a missionary. But you didn't missionary to the guy. But anyway, I'll get there. Why am I saying starting the family and relatives? 1 Timothy 5:8. 1 Timothy 5:8. Start with those you know. and extend outwards. I think the Japanese call it the Kiruit system, where they reach at arm's length, and the next person reach at arm's length, and the next person reach at arm's length, and until they impact the world, not outside in. 1 Timothy 5:8, he said, "But if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an infidel." I'm reporting. But I can't ignore it. I should say then, the Almighty doesn't necessarily limit me to consider my own circumstance, but I should take into the circumstances of the others, and those persons should be priority. Some of them can't even fend for themselves. Like I said, through divorce and abandonment, some people becomes fatherless, motherless, and for practical purposes, I understand some of those stuff. But then society bears the burden, the impact of that missing element that was there. And then you have a hot summer in Chicago. Gunfights are up. More are dropping. People who desperately need guidance. I didn't have some. So you ask me, how much time do I, so I ask myself, how much time do I really spend with my child? I got one. And my lifestyle, my work style is, I tell you, I work anywhere between 12 and 16 hour days. So I work 2 weeks in a week. 2 weeks in a week. So when you're sleeping, I'm up. Okay. So at 2:30 in the morning when you're pulling your cover, getting up on my bed, I might get an average of 2 hours of sleep. But I still got a daughter that I have to come home to. And if I'm in town, try to get her into bed like around 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 8:30. So it depends on where I'm at. I have to rush now to come home to see if I can see her for about half an hour. So she can see me for half an hour. And that half an hour right there is priceless. It is priceless. So a lot of these kids out there who, like I said, society feel the blunt of the missing element. Don't misunderstood the power of that little half an hour that I give to her. Right? On a nightly basis when I'm here. Because when I'm leaving in the morning, she doesn't see me. I mean, she doesn't even know that I'm gone. All she knows is that he's not here, or he's gone to work. Right? But what she wasn't able to get at least that half an hour. So there are persons, brethren, who are in need of our love. But the question is, what is that activity of love? The word visited right there in the last part of the scripture is G 1980. It literally means to look upon or to look after. So the visiting here is not just showing up. It's to attending to the needs of that person. It's not just showing up, "Hi, how are you? Nice to see you." It's not that. It's the look, the touch, the feel. But when we're back home, like I said, if I have to live my life, I would live it the exact same way again, because I'm looking back at it. There's so much lesson we learned. We didn't grow up on much. But in a community, oh man, we can remember going to some, I forgot her name, but we would clean our floors, carry water, pour in our stuff, and because these people have no the husband died many years, live up on a hill in some you have to live in a mountainous country to understand these things. I don't know about flat United States. Okay, you have to be living where you're driving and you're risking falling off some precipice. Okay, and you wonder how people get to live in those parts and they don't have anybody but water and food and not to reach those people. Right? I remember when you look back at it, these were fulfilling, man. You realize, man, I really did that. And she knew my name too. She knew my name. Those are the kind of stuff. So the visiting is not, I said the other day, these things here, cell phones and stuff, they are good. I love technology. I really do. Anything to make my life a little easier. In other words, I'm the kind of guy who, I prefer to work smarter, not harder. Right? It's about efficiency and effectiveness. But there's some stuff which you can't take the touch out of. So as much as this phone is right here, right, it's off right now. In fact, seriously, I never put my phone on to ring. It's always on silent. So if you call me, guess what? You might miss me if I don't literally have it in there, because I don't want to hear it ring. Because if I hear it ring, you're going to force me to answer it. And I don't want to talk unless it's necessary. Right? So I'm just telling you a warning right now. If you get me at some point and realize, oh, you can't get Brother Cornell, is that because it's just my I must expect that I'm going to get a call, so I can say, okay, Sister Sandy is going to call me. All right, you know what I mean. But otherwise, no, I'm not into love technology, but I stay away from it as much as I can because I know the danger of it. I know the ins and outs of this thing right here. But all right. But why am I saying that? Because we use cell phones now as a crutch. We are just 7 digits away from each other. And in truth, in fact, it's just not really that way. Even though you say you're 7 digits away from each other, you don't even call the person. You don't. See, am I right or am I right? You only got one choice if you do this. Right? These people need assistance, man, real assistance. Matthew 25, verse 36. Matthew 25, verse 36. It's an activity, it's an action. Matthew 25 and verse 36. Yeshua realized this. He says, naked I was, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came unto me. You can't visit people in the prison by not going there. You got to go through some security. No, security, you have to deal with the hustle of security. The hustle to say I'm going in there to see Tom Strokes or Mary Jane. Right? Somebody who is naked and want clothes. It takes some work to get them some clothes. You know what I mean? It takes some deep thought to do this thing here. And sick, oh my, that's a different topic. You don't even know the sickness. You can't diagnose it. You don't know what the person is feeling. So when somebody say, oh, I understand, you do not understand. You don't. Because you can't feel it. You can at least imaginally put yourself in a situation to say, if I was in the situation, this is how I might feel. So you're just way off of the impact or the symptoms. All right. But that part of it is even more puzzling to me. So someone, like I said, the prayer list, I do not know what these people are going through. But I always pray that, God, you know. You know. And because you know, I don't know what else to do. All I can say is, just do something now. Just do something. But I can't keep doing that. I can keep praying till Moses come back from the dead. And then I never ever get up and say, you know what, I'm going to visit this person. Just for that person. So that person don't want to hear that they're just praying for me. I'm praying for them. They want to realize, you know what? Oh, Brother Cornell came over and see me last week. You know how that felt? You know what I mean? I'm just saying, maybe we should reconsider some of these things here. Verse 40 of Matthew, he says, and the king shall answer and say to them, verily I say unto you, inasmuch as you have done it unto the least, unto the least, unto the least, unto the least. So even if there's some structure on the list of your brethren, okay? The Indian system have the caste system, if you know how that works. Even if they are on the least, even if you can go all the way down here and do that kind of act to that guy right here, it tells me, give me hope that you will do it to this guy up here. If you do that to the smallest guy, you have done it to me. It's basically he's saying here. No, and I preempt myself. I asked the question already. When was the last time I visited a needy family? That was a question to myself. Not just to say hello, but to provide some tangible assistance. Proverbs 90. Proverbs 19:17 says, he that hath pity on the poor lendeth unto the Lord, and that which he hath given will he pay him again. I may not have anything, but there's a saying that says, it's a saying, I don't know if it's a saying, but the concept is, many people think that they have to have something to give, but they always got something to give, even it's a kind of shirt, So the final test then, so there's 2 tests down. Final test then would be, am I living unspotted by the world? Unspotted by the world. Unspotted. Verse 27. Am I keeping myself clean from the sinfulness of the world? This is moving away from the support side of it. If I'm unspotted, nothing is spilled upon me. If I'm unspotted, I'm unstained. I'm not stained, I'm all white. And then the word that is used, the world, in 27 of James. It's not just the world as we know it. This is the universe itself. The influences that's out there, working in several different environments, which have its impact. They bear heavy on you, and sometimes, if you forget that moment of meditation at some point in time, you might realize, did I just do that? Did I just do that? Why should I keep myself unspotted? Because if I don't, I can adversely affect the relationship that I have with the Almighty, because He's pure from all sin. So because if He's pure from all sin, then James is telling me that I can be unspotted. I don't think he would write something that he couldn't expect of me. So I guess there, it is imposing on me to live a morally clean life. I should do everything in my power, every moment, that my action, my thoughts, my deeds, all together, all those 3 things right there, working to let that religion mean something, put some substance into, make it be profitable, so that it's not like, oh, Brother Cornell looks like a nice Christian gentleman, but it's, I experienced a gentleman. I know him. He did this, he does that. I know this about him. You can cry, you can cry blood. It's not Brother Cornell, because Brother Cornell is that. I see it, I see him in action, when all those three come together. So, one way to practice biblical separation is in this in this scripture here. 2 Corinthians 6 verse 17. This is a way of doing that. He said, wherefore, 2 Corinthians 6 verse 17 says, wherefore come out from among them and be you separate, says the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. This is not saying we should actually withdraw from society. We can't withdraw from society. We live here. We can't. But I think sometimes we maybe misconstrue that withdrawing from society. And when we do that kind of withdrawing, you know what happens? The person who's supposed to, the needy who's supposed to get fed, the visitors that are supposed to go to the prison don't get, because we so withdrawn that you forget those people have needs. And you can supply that need. We're so withdrawn. And it doesn't have to be about spreading the gospel. It's not have to be about spreading gospel. And this is where I call it one of the missing dimension in this missionary thing. I'm going to talk about it next time. Because there's a missing dimension in there. You give people something that they don't want, all in interest of spreading gospel. You know, who get the glory? I'm not saying we have to separate from society. We can't get out of it, but in fact, we can't get out of it. Let me tell you why we can't get out of it. John 17:15. We can't get out of this world. But if we are a part of this world, we have to live, and we have to cohabitate. We have a part to play. John 17:15, when Yeshua was leaving, he was saying basically, look man, I'm leaving here and these guys remain here now. I'm gone from this place. I'm gone from this place, but these guys are going to remain here. 17:15 says, I pray not that thou shouldest take them out of the world, but that thou shouldest keep them from the evil in the world. So they're going to be here, but protect them from that evil influence. But while we're here and we're asking God to protect us, there's work to do. There's work to do. We can't win souls for the Almighty if we separate ourselves from sinners. We can't. We can't. And I've done this empirical. Don't worry, I'm going to be coming down soon. I sat down with someone once and I said, now, one thing I like to do sometimes is being a researcher from the statistics side. Gathering primary data is the most important thing you can do. Right? You go there and you take up this piece of item your own self. So when I do audits, after I sit down and talk to my client about something, I hear what you said. I hear what you said. That's your design. And you can tell me all the mumbo jumbo. But I heard you. Guess what? I'm going to go over there and I'm going to kick on that desk and see if it's to see that it is not a cardboard box painted. All right? I'm going to go over there. I'm going to open that door to see if it was locked. Because you said a while ago you kept it locked. Right? You can just look and realize, oh, the door looks locked. No. Punch the door. Run into the door. Does it stand up? Oh, yeah, it stands up. And people might say, oh, he's crazy. No. It is the framework, it's the design of your system, and you say this is how it works. So when something falls, and your name is all over Wall Street. You said the door was closed. No, I mean just using the door as an example, but you know what I'm talking about. Right? You said the door's closed. You said you had controls and they were working. Guess what? I test your design and it's not effective. But guess what? So that clean bill of health that you're looking for to say, you know, we audit your statements and they are of an unqualified. Guess what? I have a qualified opinion. So I can't give you a clean bill of health. So guess what? You're gonna go back to the drawing board and correct all of these things. Same thing here. We cannot reign sinners if we avoid them, brethren. 15 of John, just 2 chapters back, 15 of John and verse 3 says, John 15:3 says, "Know you are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you." That's how we keep ourselves clean and pure. You know, to just talk about the design a while ago, the design of the controls, how it is. So our Bible is our design. This is the framework in which we operate. But the Bible is just the Bible. That's all it is. A piece of paper. It's you know, the words are in there. So when you walk away and leave it today, the Bible is not there with you. Unless you have that, you know. But if it's not referring to it and doing it, then it's all those words. It's all those words. So in other words, so you got the design. You know, if you look at it, it's I like the design. This thing, based on what is said here, yeah, these things can work. But no, does they work? Do they work? Am I doing what, you know what I mean? Exactly here. So creeper, John 15 says, know that they're clean through the word, which means that you're doing what the word says. Then go to Ephesians 5 verse 26. Ephesians 5 verse 26 says, and that's my last scripture. Ephesians 5 verse 26 says, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of blood and water. Takes it to another level. Takes it to another level again. So, brethren, overall here, if I am to be spiritually strong and healthy, in order to help me be immune from the many temptations of society, then all of these 3 tests right here that we just talk about, keep my tongue bright out. Attending to the guys out there who need visitation. Right? And the last one, keep myself unspotted. When all these things work together, then I can go back and say, okay, how am I doing on the religion thing? Okay, where on the grading scale am I? How do I rate myself? No, I'm not saying to really literally do that. Okay, you know, but you know within yourself. I know within myself whether I'm doing something right or wrong. You don't know. It might appear that way. Like I said, no, Brother Cornell look like no, Brother Cornell looks like. You don't know Brother Cornell that way until you see Brother Cornell at work and somebody talks about Brother Cornell testifying to the goodness of Brother Cornell and that sort of stuff. So I concluded my letter. Just one paragraph. What about it? So you hear the components of my letter. So I'm going to say to myself then, dear me, as you put yourself to these 3 tests, how do you measure up? Do you bridle your tongue? Do you show love to those in need? Do you keep yourselves unspotted from the world? Self, these tests will help your determination, help you to determine if your religion is real or useless. Self, your faith needs to be more than talk. And more than the mere outward observance of religious festivals. Isaiah talked about that. So all the holy days and stuff that I'm coming at, and the Sabbath days and all this stuff, all my rituals could be just vain. So self, ask yourself, is your faith true or false? And before I depart, perhaps you are falling in just one of these. Maybe you are. But if you are, guess what? There's a chance yet. Repent of that. Reassess that failure. And then do whatever it takes today to make it right. Not tomorrow, because tomorrow don't exist. Today. P.S. Your father. End of part 1. Next time I'll just take it towards the wider group at large. Thanks everyone.